Have you ever met someone who gets angry over the smallest things? Someone who suddenly raises their voice because of a simple question. Someone who loses control because another driver cut them off in traffic. Or someone who completely explodes over something that doesn't even seem important. Maybe you've wondered, why are they like this? Or maybe you're that person. Maybe you've promised yourself dozens of times, I'm never going to lose my temper again. But somehow, it keeps happening. You regret your words. You apologize. You tell yourself it will never happen again. And then, a few days later, the same story repeats itself. If that sounds familiar, stay with me until the end of this video, because today, we're not just talking about anger. We're talking about pain, hidden pain, pain that many people carry for years without even realizing it. The truth is, most people believe anger is the problem, but psychologists have discovered something very different. Anger is rarely the real problem. It's usually the symptom of something much deeper, something invisible, something that often begins long before adulthood. Sometimes, long before we even remember. Today's story is about a man named James. At first glance, James looked completely normal. He had a decent job. He had friends. He smiled. He laughed. And if you met him for just 5 minutes, you would probably think he was one of the nicest people you'd ever met. But there was one secret James tried to hide from everyone. He was terrified of his own anger, not because he enjoyed being angry, but because every time it happened, he felt like he became a different person, a stranger, someone he didn't recognize. And every single time, the anger disappeared. It left behind only one thing: guilt. Deep, painful, unbearable guilt. James often asked himself the same question late at night. What's wrong with me? Why can't I stay calm like everyone else? Why do I keep hurting the people I love? He searched for answers everywhere. He watched videos. He read books. He tried meditation. He even blamed himself, but nothing seemed to change. Until one ordinary Monday morning. A morning that would completely change his life. It was 7:45 a.m. The weather was cold. The streets were busy. People were rushing to work. James walked into a small neighborhood coffee shop, just like he had done hundreds of times before. He ordered a black coffee, found his favorite seat near the window, and quietly looked outside while waiting for his order. Everything seemed perfectly normal, nothing unusual, nothing dangerous, nothing that could possibly change his life. Or so he thought. A young waitress walked toward his table carrying his coffee. She looked nervous. It was obvious she was new. As she reached the table, her hand slipped. Small amounts of hot coffee spilled onto the table. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately. It was an accident for most people. That moment would have ended. With a smile, "It's okay, no problem. Don't worry," but not for James. Within seconds, his breathing changed. His heart started racing. His muscles became tense. His face turned red. Without even thinking, he stood up and shouted, "What is wrong with you? Can't you do one simple thing right?" The entire coffee shop fell silent. The waitress froze. Her eyes filled with tears. Customers stopped talking. Everyone stared. James could feel dozens of eyes looking at him. And suddenly, just as quickly as the anger had appeared, it disappeared. Reality hit him. He looked at the frightened waitress. He looked at the coffee on the table. Then he looked around the room. People weren't afraid of the spilled coffee. They were afraid of him. Without saying another word, James turned around, walked out of the cafe, and disappeared into the cold morning air. And that moment was only the beginning, because what James didn't know yet was that this anger was not born in that coffee shop. It had been growing inside him for years. At first, James didn't even notice it. It wasn't something loud. It didn't scream for attention. It just stayed. A small feeling here, a swallowed word there, a moment he should have reacted, but didn't. He thought that was normal. He thought being quiet meant being strong. But what he didn't understand was simple. Nothing disappears just because you ignore it. It stays. It builds. But there were moments, small ones, a rude comment from someone, a misunderstanding, a joke that went too far. James always had the same reaction. Nothing, no response, no confrontation, no release, just silence. And silence started turning into pressure. People around him thought he was calm. James never gets angry. He's so easygoing. He doesn't care about anything. They were wrong. He cared too much. That was the problem. He cared, but never expressed it. Inside his mind, everything was recorded. Every insult, every unfair moment. Every time he said, "It's fine," when it absolutely wasn't. And the worst part, he never deleted any of it. Started subtly, not one big event, just a change. One morning, James woke up and felt different. He couldn't explain it. Sounds felt sharper. People felt more annoying. Even small things felt heavier than before. He tried to ignore it, like always, but this time, ignoring, it didn't work the same way, because something inside him was no longer staying quiet, it was responding. That day started normal. Too normal. Same streets. Same faces. Same routine. But James felt tension. He couldn't name, like waiting for something without knowing what. Then it happened. Moment so small. No one else would remember it. A sentence. A tone. A look. A tone. A look. Not even directly aggressive, but wrong. Wrong enough to hit the exact place inside him that was already full. And in that instant, something inside James tightened. Not exploded, not broke, just tightened, like a rope being pulled too far. Externally, nothing changed. James stood still. He listened. He responded normally, but inside, it was chaos. His thoughts started stacking. You should say something. No, stay calm. They don't mean it. But this isn't the first time. All at once. Louder. Faster. Heavier. His breathing changed slightly. His jaw tightened without him noticing. His hands became tense, but he still didn't react. Because James had one rule: don't show it. Minutes passed, but inside him, those minutes felt like pressure building in a sealed room. Every second added weight, until finally, he reached a line, not visible, not obvious, just internal, a limit he didn't know. He had until he crossed it, and once he crossed it, there was no going back to calm. Only direction left was forward. Wasn't one big moment, it was a combination, another comment, another misunderstanding, another push, and something inside and something said. James finally gave up trying to hold everything together. Not dramatically, just release of control, like a lock snapping open. After too much force, his expression changed first, then his voice followed. What came out of him wasn't planned. It wasn't organized. It wasn't even fully conscious. It was everything at once. Years of silence. Years of swallowing anger. Years of pretending nothing mattered. All of it suddenly had a voice. Fast, sharp, unfiltered. The people around him froze. Because this wasn't James getting angry. This was something they had never seen before. Something that had been inside him for years, finally showing itself. And then silence. Heavy silence. Not peace. Not calm. Just absence of noise after something breaks. James looked around, and for the first time, he didn't feel inside the anger. He felt outside of it, like he was watching something he created, but couldn't control anymore. And slowly, one thought came into his mind. This didn't start today. Because it didn't. That moment was just the surface. The real story was everything underneath it. Every time he stayed quiet, every time he ignored himself, every time he thought patience was the same as strength. It wasn't. It was storage, and eventually, storage becomes overflow.